that are, one of our decisions at the meeting last month was to co-sponsor another forum, and it's called the MTA Symposium, and it's taking place on October 3rd. It's very work, I think.
I've gone in the past.
Yeah, that was great, and we may want to consider it sometime joining the Metropolitan Township. It's different than TOC. It has, but many of the TOC's members also belong. It's just different, but they do really nice program too. That'll be hosted at Hanover Township. If anyone wants to go, I'm gonna go again.
Yeah, it is Rosh Hashanah, so not a.
Oh. Remember to know that.
And we did look into MTA membership in the past. We can discuss it another time. I found it a bit expensive. Though I do think that their programming is fabulous. And they certainly represent townships like ours that are more urban. Sorry that I did not have the recording going before. That's gonna really mess with your rooms.
No, I have it all done.
Yep. All right, fabulous. Thank you.
MCA stand?
Metropolitan Townships Association.
Which includes townships from other areas like Joliet.
So not just Cook County, so you would have townships that are relatively similar to us, like a West Deerfield, that isn't Cook County, right?
But we get the benefit, and that was one of the cool things, is like, TOC is really shaping up their game because we get to go as co-sponsors.
Right.
You can go to any of their trainings though. You just go as a non-MTA member because I've been to one for the administrator.
Exactly, and I did as well. So,
And one other thing is that they re-emphasized signing up for the toy conference in November. I really hope that some of you may wish to go this year.
certainly. Do let me know if you're interested in doing the toy conference. To channel my Ellen Goldberg, it's a wonderful, event. To meet people from all over the state and to learn about what best practices in townships. Anything else for your report?
No.
Fabulous. Financial report, James Howard.
All right, good evening, everybody. Let's walk through the 6-month statement. If you allow me to share my screen, thank you. Okay. All right, so we're 50% of the way through our fiscal year. And again, good news is Cook County's on time with the taxes. So you can see collections 3% better than what we budgeted, about 3.6 million across both funds. That's really good news for us, and obviously encourages us to do a little bit more investing as the cash is now up front in our fiscal year. Now, replacement tax is in at about 47%. That's at about 44,000 collected there. Interest is going to be another outperform in terms of the budget, 22% better than what we thought at the beginning of the year. Now, the Fed's going to cut rates this month. And again, they're going to continue that. So we should kind of start to lock in for longer. And that's why we have our cash management team, Sawyer Faldudo, investing our funds on our behalf. Passport fees look good at 56%, 16,700 taken in there. So that's at 56, and then 3.7 million total. We were at 3.7 million for the budget, so we're a little bit north of what we budgeted on the revenue side as we're property tax driven. So again, real good news on the top line. Look down into expenditures. Again, we use our green and red to show where we are in the year versus budget. And again, really only 3 reds, everything else in the green, meaning we're at or below 50%. Contractual services just a little high at 53. Building town hall expenses at 64, and then financial assistance, again, that's GA at 55. But all in, we look very good. 1.5 million spent, 3.9 million is the budget. We're at 39% across all funds and expenditure categories. Nice surplus. We're going to be top heavy now as we start the year, and all that tax money came in up front from Cook County. 2.2 million in surplus. We started with 1.9, so we're at about 4.1 million in ending fund balance. We look at our distributions. Property taxes lead the way, 97%. Replacement tax about 1, interest about 2, passport fees 0.5, other 0.1. On the expenditure side, agency programs at 36%, child care services almost 6, projects at 9, contractual services 7, assessor 2.5, building town expenses about 5, financial assistance 13, pantry 5, personnel 15, elected officials 1. So again, you can see we crossed over the budget on the revenue side. That's always a good thing as we're beating the top line estimates, and then expenditures right now on track in terms of where we are in the budget year. I'm not gonna go through all the detail. If there are any questions, I'm always happy to try to answer those, but let's take ourselves to the cash position. Again, you can see north of 4 million across all accounts. And again, we're a little heavy at BMO. You can see we've got some good investments. Those Schwab are our custodian accounts that are managed by Sawyer Faldudo, north of $1 million for town and about 784,000 for GA. We've got some more money we can probably move over to them, and timing's probably pretty good. So again, that'll be up to the board to decide, but I think we could safely move about, 300 to 450,000 of the BMO of what's in the town fund over to Sawyer Faldudo to invest for us. GA, we're in a pretty comfortable spot there, probably only about 75,000 I would move from the GA accounts. But outside of that, I'd be happy to take any questions from the board.
And just as a quick note, our building expenses are a bit above, where, the year. As you can see from Lucia's report, we did have the boiler, expense to get rid of, the non-operable equipment, as well as on the outside as well. Yep, anything else you want to add on
But
that?
that line also shows all of our utilities. It's kind of all built in together. And our utilities aren't exactly cheap. Our light bill did go down. I think that they finally gave it the correct credit, but as we get into these winter months, our gas bill is always high. Our sewer and sanitation and all of that stuff, it's all built into the building expenses. So that's not all just building maintenance.
On the solar panel issue, did we press the issue that any subsequent repairs were of their own doing?
Yeah, so there's a contract, Gail went over it with them, so we did end up having to pay for the bi-directional meter.
But not for
But not for
the external shut off.
any external shut off, which should have been put in the first place, so it's operating now the way it's supposed to be.
Yep. Because we would have needed to do the bi-directional no matter what.
Are we getting close to a point where we have too much money in the town fund for purposes of statutory requirements?
No, we're watching these things.
Okay,
Yes.
because I noticed, and we'll get to it again, but in the audit, I noticed we're substantially up in the value of the township. And I was wondering if we're starting to cross over that line.
Certainly watching, right?
Okay.
And I think just in line with what Stefan's saying, I think this is the first time you or I have ever seen our balance over $4 million.
Yeah, I think so too. That's what
Yeah.
caught my attention.
Page 6 of 9, under childcare services, daycare scholarships.
Mhm.
I noticed that we're, right around 22%. It was up, that feels real low at this point in the year.
We,
Yeah.
we did not, we haven't distributed the full amount yet. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and the before and after I just approved, so it's showing 0, but those will be signed
That'll be populated.
in tomorrow, so.
Okay.
We decided to be a little bit more formulaic, so it took a little bit more time,
Got it.
to figure out the math.
And then on the next page, 7 of 9, under building and town hall expenses, the insurance and surety bonds, are we paid for the year on that now?
I think that that's just one expense.
Yeah, exactly.
Sweet.
Yep. If you recall from previous years, we've gotten rid of some duplicative insurance, so that line is much lower than it had been. Any other questions? Seeing none, I would like to ask for a motion to invest 450,000 from the town fund and 75,000 from the GA fund with Sawyer Faldudo.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
I still think that we need to have diversification of our portfolio. I think that we're completely flush at this point. We have the highest numbers we've ever had in my history of the township. So I think that the idea of making more money and more money and more money is less imperative than perhaps it was 6 months ago or a year ago. Working fallible, but I would strongly object to any more transfers at the current time.
And I believe that we are diversified between various funds. Just using the same investment manager does not mean we're not diversified. I'm also concerned that these interest rates will not be staying, for the long run. And taking advantage of them now is to our benefit. And that we are continuing to run down the reserves. We have been saying that we could not have had the community support grants at the levels that we had been doing until we had done these investments. And we want to be able to continue that program. So I would like to continue the investments.
I disagree. I think we've always had the money necessary to do the community grant programs. I don't think it has anything to do with the investments that we've made or the interest we've made on those investments. So I stand corrected on that one. And I think that diversification means diversification. And you keep pulling it out of the banks and putting it with one brokerage house. And I know we've had numerous discussions about how their portfolio is diversified and it's federal money, et cetera, et cetera. I still think on principle that I would object.
Any other discussion?
Briefly, I think that we have a wonderful, James is doing a great job in terms of advising us. Steph and I say this respectfully, we've got 1.4 million in a BMO account number 5617 with a 2.5% yield. And that's not hay, but that's about half of what the going rate is for that kind of sum. We're only taking 450,000 of that 1.4 million, and we're gonna lock that in probably at something like 4+ or maybe 5+ in a slightly longer term.
That won't be five.
It'll be in the fours. And I think we have to be good stewards of taxpayer money, and the taxpayers require us, when we are a little bit flush, to make the most that we can with those funds. And we're not talking about putting a significant chunk of that 1.4, we're talking about 25%, roughly to 30%. So I think that James's recommendation is good, and I agree that we should do it.
Additional discussion?
I have one more comment, and that is, I think we're getting close to the point where we have too much money in our town fund, statutorily required, and I don't want to bump up against that. And again, I just think that we're good where we are, and Elliot, 4 million of the 1.4 is close to 30%. That's not insignificant. And we started at half. We got up to about 3/4, and we're probably gonna be about 80% with them. And I just think that's too much in one fund. I'll end my discussion.
Please.
Would you be comfortable with a different amount than what's proposed?
No, I'm really on principle. I think we should leave things as they are for the time being.
Seeing no additional discussion, I'll call the question. All those in favor?
That's financially.
Oh, yeah, please.
Supervisor Eisenberg,
Yes.
trustee Cassell McNally,
Yes.
trustee Robbins,
Yes.
trustee Moser,
No,
trustee Rubin.
Yes.
And I'll indicate that you let her know. Definitely.
Just for clarification, it's 450 on account number 5617, and it's 75 on account number 7945.
Yes.
Very good.
Anything else, James?
That's all I have for tonight.
Okay. Do I have control?
Always.
Okay. All right, verification of claims, trustee Moser.
okay. I would like to make a motion to approve the town fund expenditures from August 1st, 2024, to August 31st, 2024, as reflected in the financial report presented this evening on the 10th of September, September 10th, 2024.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, I'll call the question.
Supervisor Eisenberg,
Yes.
trustee Cassell McNally,
Yes.
trustee Robbins,
Yes.
trustee Moser,
Yes,
trustee Rubin.
Yep.
I have those.
I hope it, you guys are enjoying the civic clerk. I'm having fun with it.
Love it.
Yes, and there seems to be a couple of little tweaks, but we'll figure it out, right? Okay. Assessors reports.
Yes, nothing significant to report. We finished the appeals to the Board of Review last a week ago tonight, September 3rd. And that's really it for now.
Wonderful. And I thank Glenn for helping me. And hope that you all took advantage of their services as well.
You're the only one who got it.
We'll be more successful this time.
How did your meeting go with the board? Did you have any people show up in the third year?
We had close to 50 people.
Oh, wow.
I thought that was after the August meeting. If it wasn't.
No,
then
it
yes,
wasn't.
I beg your
You were
pardon, then
saying
I
it was
do have
coming up.
something.
Oh, can I put that in?
Yeah, do put that in.
Okay. good.
The Board of Review held its annual outreach event here on August 22nd. And there were between 45 and 50 participants here, which for the third year of a try is really quite remarkable. I was
Absolutely.
afraid the only people, there might be, the usual stalwart half dozen, twice as many Board of Review staff and Len and me, and that would be it. So I was really impressed with the number of people who were unhappy with their assessments. There you go. So
And you were
that's it.
counter
Thank you
programming
so much for
Kamala's
that.
acceptance
Yeah,
speech,
sure.
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
okay. All right, we are now in line for our audit report. Mr. Smith, I will give you control. Maybe.
You guys all able to hear me?
Yes, but does not appear that I can, James, you might still be a host, so.
That's fine. I don't need to share. It's usually just an overview of everything. I'll reference pages in the audit report. You guys should have copies of for what was issued a little over a month ago. But so just wanted to go over the audit, give you guys a quick rundown of how things went, where the financials sit. Couple comments for some areas for improvement and open it up to questions after that. So wanted to start off with field work continues to go better for the last couple of years now. Obviously a couple of years ago there was a little bit of delay. That's completely flipped to 180. Audits running fairly smooth now at this point. Larisha's great to work with, gets us all the information we need. On top of things, when we do ask her things, even if it's something that she's not aware of, she'll find the answer. So she's great to work with. So shout out to her for a great job there. Management letter in the current year. So there is a management letter in the current year, but not any significant deficiencies or material weaknesses. So what we do every year is we walk through your guys' internal control processes as far as through cash disbursements processes, your cash receipts, your month-end close, payroll. We run through all those processes. And if we see something that we think can be improved on, we'll comment on it. And so there's a couple things in the letter this year that are considered other matters. These are more areas for improvement. They're more of a proactive approach to some things, just to catch something before an issue maybe were to pop up. So there's a couple things regarding payroll as far as reviewing W-2s once they're prepared by the outside accountant, just making sure that they look reasonable compared to what's happened throughout the year before they go out. And then the second thing is once payroll changes are made, as far as salaries are changed, rates are changed, those get entered into the system with those changes there. Implementing a review process to do a double check. Everyone's has a possibility of making an error, so just making a double check, just making sure the rates got put in there correctly, someone's not getting paid incorrectly, and catching that before something happened and you're notified by an employee or somebody else finds out. So more just proactive things, not things that we think are significant, but just areas for improvement there. So those were in the management letter this year. As far as your audit report itself, you guys got a clean and modified opinion. So it's the best opinion you guys can get on this audit report. So everything's good to go there. New accounting standards this year. GASB 96 came into play. So last year was GASB 87. That was the leases. If you guys had material leases for a right to use an asset, you had to bring an asset and a liability onto the books. This year, essentially the same thing, but it's a subscription-based information technology arrangement. So same concept. If you're paying a long-term rate fee contract for something to use, say, a cloud-based service, those things would need to be brought onto the books as an asset and a liability as well. Discounted to current present value. Each year now going forward, and this current year, we test for that, make sure there's nothing out there, go over your guys' agreements to make sure there isn't anything that falls under this. For you guys this year, there's nothing material that falls under this. So as far as it affecting you guys this year, the only effect you will see on the audit report will be some additional wording in your summary of significant accounting policies that basically say how this would be treated if you did have something that was applicable. And also a footnote just noting that the standard was implemented this year. Other than that, no new standards that are affecting you guys. So on to some financial highlights then. So page 13 of the audit report, your governmental funds. these are the funds you're used to looking for. So as far as you guys' monthly meetings, these are the reports you're looking at, your fund financial statements. So your governmental funds are up about $390,000 for fiscal year 24. The ending fund balance in the general fund is a little over $1 million, which is up about $450,000 from last year. Which similar to what you guys just discussed, it's due to increased property taxes and increased investment income. So with interest rates being up, you guys are bringing in more interest income. While expenses pretty much stayed flat, actually went down a little bit. So you know, good there. Overall, then you guys are sitting at about 4.5 months of current year expense in your fund balance right now, which is a good spot to be in. It's better than where you guys were in the past. 2 years ago, you guys were only at about 2 months. Last year, you were at about 2.5 months. That's low. 4.5 months is honestly on the lower end. You know, places do operate in that range, but it is still on the lower end. Usually for property tax objections, we say somewhere in the range of 6 months to 2 years is where you're getting too much for property tax objections. There is some new legislation out there on that too, as far as for school districts at least. It doesn't directly affect you guys, but there is new statutes out there for school districts having to come up with spend down plans if they get to 2.5 years. So there's a little bit of precedent set with that. We've always said 6 months to 2 years, so that's below that threshold. But you guys are still on the low end, but getting better from where you guys were at, you know, even a couple of years ago. Then as far as general assistance, you guys are down about $60,000 in comparison to last year. So that's about 8 months of current year expense. Last year you were on the higher end. You were at about 2 years, and you guys budgeted for and planned to spend this down. You had a spend down plan, and you did that. And 8 months is a good spot to be in there. So those are the fund financial statements on the government wide then. So government wide on page 10, this is where you get to the balances that you guys aren't used to seeing. This is when you see your fixed assets, long-term debt if you have long-term debt, pension liability. So you guys have an IMRF liability out there. That's where all that information gets brought in. Basically gets consolidated into long-term stuff with your short-term funds. The change there for this year was an overall increase of about $750,000. Page 14 of the report gives you a nice breakdown of what those differences are. The main difference being IMRF. With there being favorable rates right now, the IMRF funds have gained as far as investment income, and those liabilities have gone significantly down. Even some of them have flipped to assets. So you'll see there the IMRF, it's technically revenue for the government wide, decrease that liability there. That's the main reason for the change from that difference of the $390,000 that we talked about on the funds and the $750,000 on the government wide financial statements. Overall then, as far as footnotes, then no real changes to your guys' footnotes other than changes to current numbers for current year activity. Everything else there is pretty much straightforward and in line with what it was in prior years. So those are the main things that I like to go over each year, and would like to leave it open to any questions if you guys have any.
Any questions?
Does the 750,000 excess have anything to do with the timing of payments last year, because they were substantially off with the county? And I was wondering if that has anything to do with the excess?
No,
They came later?
no. Since you guys are on an accrual basis, we had to account for that. If you were cash basis, you would have timing differences for that, but you guys don't have that. That's accounted for. So the 750, you guys are up 390. The 750 isn't your guys' true month-to-month financial statements. Like I said, there's differences there. Some of that is a change in IMRF. You guys don't have access to those funds. They get reported on your books because it's a liability to you guys. If that was unfunded and you had a large liability, it's your guys' responsibility. But that's not actual, you don't have access to those funds. So when those flip to an asset, it's not like you could dip into that, request those monies back from IMRF. So that's more of a paper balance, if you would call it that. But that's just reporting of the pension liability under the GASB 68 standards.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions?
When did the W-2s come out last year? Was it February or March? Do you remember?
We normally get them at the end of, I think we got them at the end of December, if I'm
Oh,
not
really?
mistaken.
Okay,
W two in January.
Right.
Yeah,
okay. And then the first paycheck,
Speak a little bit louder for the.
sorry,
Yeah.
the first paycheck that, any pay changes would be reflected on for the next time. I want a calendar to make sure that we're doing this stuff, so I'm just trying to figure out when that would be.
You
Because
mean for
that's based on the,
salary changes?
right, is it that start of
salary
the
change
year
is going to
or?
affect the beginning of the fiscal, because
Right.
we changed salaries in the February meeting.
All right,
Exactly.
And
There will
another
be-
thing to account for, sorry to interrupt, but you could have stuff happen throughout the year. You know, if you hire somebody new, that person's gonna have a pay rate. So I mean, that could be a process that happens, you know,
Oh.
in August. It could happen, you know, next week. You guys hired somebody new pay rate gets entered in. Have someone double check the entry in there, making sure that that's all entered correct and there's not any issues there.
Absolutely. And we will have a little bit of a difference on January 1 this year because of some changes on the federal level. We have one employee that will have to go hourly
Mhm.
and be paid overtime. But other than that, it'll be fiscal year changes. So we might have a little bit of a difference on salary, but it won't be substantial. Any other changes? Okay, seeing none. Do we have to approve or accept the audit report or?
I don't think
Anyone?
so.
Alright, well, we thank the auditor. We appreciate all your efforts. We know that we're super fun to review our
I
documents.
just wanna make sure it's a clean and unqualified, or is that what you said?
Yes, yeah, clean,
Unqualified is good.
yep, unmodified opinion. Yep, you guys are good.
Sure, I don't wanna.
The best category we could be in.
Yep.
Expenditures down, income
It's
up.
about time.
You're unqualified.
Yep,
Thank you, Kevin.
it's time for public comment. Any public comment? Seeing none. New business, assigning committee liaisons, we do have to do today. Okay. We are now in year 4.
we skipped all business, you wanna?
Oh, we did. But we don't have anything listed, so I'm gonna go ahead and we'll table business. All those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Seeing none. Assigning committee liaisons is the 4th year of a 4-year term. Is there a committee you have not been on? Think
Yes,
What have you not done?
I have not been on the disability.
disability support. Okay, I hereby appoint, so we're continuing to disability support. Do you remember what you have not been on? What have you been on?
Whatever John was on his first year.
Probably agency. Right, so, which is now life cycle, right?
I think I'm the only one that hasn't had an agency for the past 4 years. I'm not mistaken. Maybe you also, I don't know.
I've always had.
You've always,
Yeah,
so what committees have you been on?
Wow.
All, you've been on all 4.
Yes.
Well, that's not physically possible. You've been-
There's only 3.
That's true. So you're in
Something
special
that's
projects. Yes, okay. Got it. Those are special projects. Got
Whatever that means.
it. We will decide.
I think I had peer jury for a couple
first
years,
one,
so I'm ready to go to mental health if that's
Got
the
it.
thing.
All right, Elliot. Mental health. Yes, so that was right, because I believe he was on life cycles, because there was the whole discussion of the senior center.
Okay.
He was like, they have a lot of. Anyway, it was a whole thing. Kate, life stages.
Steve is gonna email everybody as soon as he knows the assignment, since the process will be starting soon.
Exactly. Do you have the?
I am-
Okay, so I hereby appoint Danielle Rubin to Disability Support Committee to serve as liaison. Elliot Robbins to serve as the Mental Health Committee liaison. Kate Cassell McNally to serve as liaison to Life Stages Committee, and Trustee Moser on special projects. We will discuss what you would like to do. All right. We have a number of policies that have been provided to you all. I have been asked to entertain a motion to table all said policies. So the whistleblower policy, the identity protection policy, salary setting policy, and travel expenses. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
I had a question.
Mhm.
Where are those policies coming from? What's generating those?
The decennial. When I ask, where are they, and I can't find them, we just pass them again.
Gotcha, thank you.
Yes.
And tabling them 1 month will not make any of that
Exactly.
stale. no.
We have plenty of time on, the only one that's time bar, sensitive is the salary setting. The other ones we were supposed to have many years ago, so.
On the salary setting, we have,
And theoretically do, but
We did have an ethics. ordinance.
yes,
next month isn't too late to deal with the salary.
no, we're okay to do it in October. Yeah. Absolutely.
Remember that, Stefan, we had. an
That will
ethics
go on the
ordinance.
agenda too.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, and we did vote, and that was, was that unanimous on the tabling?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
fabulous.
Um,
Acknowledgement of staff reports. We have received staff reports. Does anyone have anything they would like to pull from a staff report for discussion?
Can I just interrupt you very quickly?
Yes, you're the first staff report.
So I do have a, salary comparison from the IATA group, for all of the elected officials. So I'll send it along. I'm just gonna write us in because I had COVID, so they did it while I had COVID. So, I'm just gonna write us in comparison to all of the townships. There's actually quite a few on there.
Yeah.
Before, I'll give it for the part of the next meeting.
Yep, so you can
That'll be
see that.
helpful, that'll be
The
helpful.
comparison chart, yeah. Okay, any additional, anything else you want to take from the staff reports?
I'm really excited in Larisha's report about the phasing out the coupon system for Dial Ride.
Yes.
I think that that's a long time coming.
Yep.
In Brian's report, I know that we've got at least one more food drive that's coming. It's just because it's my kid's school. And so we're gonna be on top of that again. This year, I'm really excited and pushing for that. In Melanie's report, the Cradles to Crayons Drive. I'm excited that, you know, the first one went really well. I would recommend, to the degree that we are interested in trying to do this again, trying to do it right around and potentially immediately before spring cleaning weeks in the springtime. I know that that's a time when, at least in Winnetka, there are a lot of people that, some of the preschools do kind of drives, but some other folks that, you know, no longer have preschoolers, may have kind of, you know, kids' clothing and kids' items that would be helpful for.
I think why we did this one, this time was to, for back to school, you're buying new clothes, you're going through the drawers. And we do kind of message the shred and electronics recycling and spring cleaning. But we should take a look to see if we can do both. So. Or double it up, because I'm always finding clothing. Anything else? Seeing none, I'm now entertain a motion to adjourn. Is there such a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We will see you next month. Thank you very, well, actually, we'll see you at the decennial meeting. Thank you.